It's 9:12 p.m., and the fluorescent lights hum over the frozen food aisle. A woman stands there, cart half full, staring at her phone. 3 banking apps sit open in 3 tabs. She's flipping between them, trying to remember which account still has room for a $40 grocery bill. Checking. Rent just went out. Checking again. The auto pay for the car hit yesterday. She does the math in her head, loses track, starts over. Behind her, someone waits to grab the peas. She mutters an apology, steps aside, keeps scrolling. 30 seconds pass. Then a minute. She picks a card, holds her breath, and pays. 2 aisles over, a man grabs a rotisserie chicken and a bag of rice. He checks nothing. No app, no math, no pause. He just knows there's room. He pays with the first card in his wallet, because it doesn't matter which one, and walks out into the parking lot without a second thought. Same store, same time of night, same kind of paycheck probably. But one of them carries a small, quiet stress that never leaves. And the other doesn't even know that stress exists. The gap between them isn't luck. It isn't a bigger salary either. It comes down to a short list of rules, the kind you could write on an index card, that most people never learn and even fewer actually use. This video walks through those rules, not theory, not vague advice. The exact shifts that move someone from the woman in the aisle to the man with the chicken. And what changes, quietly but completely, the day you start using them. Section 1. Picture a normal week. No system, no plan, just vibes and guesswork. Most people make dozens of tiny money choices every single day. Can I get this? Do I have room? Should I wait? By the end of the week, that adds up to well over 100 small decisions, each one chewing up a little bit of mental energy. None of them feel big on their own. But stacked together, they wear a person down, the same way 100 tiny paper cuts hurt more than one big one. Now picture the other path. A person with a simple rule system, maybe 5 or 6 rules total, doesn't make those same choices over and over. The rule already made the choice for them. So instead of 100 decisions a week, they are making closer to 5 or 6. That's a massive drop, something like a 90% cut in the sheer number of times their brain has to stop and think about money. This gap shows up everywhere once you start looking for it. Budgeting apps are a perfect example. Research on personal finance apps has found that roughly 2/3 of people who try a budgeting app quit using it within a month. Not because they didn't care, not because they lacked willpower. It's because most of those apps just hand you more decisions instead of fewer. More categories to track, more numbers to check, more taps before you even get an answer. It's the exact opposite of what actually works. The people who never feel that grocery aisle panic aren't smarter or more disciplined. They just carry a smaller decision load. And that load didn't shrink on its own. It shrank because of a system. Section 2. Let's follow one household through a normal month. Call them the Coopers. 2 paychecks, 1 rent payment, 1 car loan, the usual bills. On paper, they make enough money. In real life, it never feels that way. It starts on payday. Both checks land in the same checking account. No plan for where any of it goes next. Rent gets paid first, because that date is scary. Then the car payment, paid a few days late because they forgot which account it pulls from. That late fee cost them $35, gone before the month even gets going. Groceries come out of whichever card has room that week. Sometimes it's the debit card. Sometimes it's a credit card they're supposed to be paying down. There's no rule, just whatever feels easiest in the moment. That credit card carries a balance of about $400, and the interest on it quietly eats another $20 a month, every single month, without anyone really noticing. Then there's the savings account. It exists, but it's empty half the time. Whenever a bit of extra cash shows up, a small bonus, a refund, a birthday gift, it just sits in checking and gets spent on something small and forgettable within a week. A takeout order here, a random online buy there. $15, $22, $11. None of it feels like a real purchase in the moment. All of it adds up. By the middle of the month, a subscription renews that nobody remembers signing up for. $9 a month, easy to miss on a statement full of other charges. It's been running for over a year. That's more than $100 gone for something nobody uses anymore. Add it all up, the late fee, the interest, the forgotten subscription, the small leaks from spare cash with nowhere to go. It comes out to well over $100 a month, sometimes closer to $200, just quietly gone. Not from one big mistake. From dozens of tiny ones, all caused by the same thing. No accounts built for a purpose. No rule telling the money where to go. Just money, sitting there, waiting to leak. Section 3. Most people hear the word rules and picture something painful. No more coffee out. No more nice dinner with friends. A tight belt and a long list of things you're not allowed to do. That's the picture in their head. And it's exactly why so many people never try a system in the first place. But that's not what these rules actually do. A good rule doesn't take things away. It just decides, ahead of time, where money goes, so nobody has to decide it 5 times a day under stress. The Coopers, from before, weren't losing money because they spent too much on fun. They were losing it to late fees, forgotten subscriptions, and interest on a balance that never had to exist. Fix those leaks and you're not living smaller, you're just living without the holes. For the Coopers, closing those leaks frees up somewhere around $150 a month. That's not a guess pulled from nowhere, it's just what a late fee, a forgotten subscription, and a chunk of interest add up to once they're gone. Now watch what happens if that money gets pointed somewhere instead of leaking out. After 1 year, it's about $1,800. Not life-changing yet, but real. Give it 5 years, and with some modest growth along the way, it's closer to $10,000. 10 years in, that number is somewhere around $23,000, because growth stacks on top of growth the longer it runs. Stretch it to 20 years, and the same $150 a month turns into something close to $90,000. None of that came from earning more. None of it came from cutting out things they enjoyed. It came from closing a few small holes and letting the leftover money sit somewhere it could grow instead of somewhere it could vanish. That's the real thing these rules free up. Not just dollars, though those add up fast. Also the hours spent checking 3 apps at once, and the quiet stress of never quite knowing where you stand. Time back, peace back, and money, finally working instead of leaking. Section 4. Now, it's only fair to look at the other side of this. Plenty of smart people push back on rigid rules, and their case is worth hearing out. Here's the argument. Strict budgets often work great for the first few weeks, then fall apart. Someone sets a rule like no eating out ever, feels proud for a while, then one bad day breaks the rule completely. After that, a lot of people don't just bend the rule a little. They quit the whole system, because one broken rule feels like total failure. Researchers who study money habits call this a kind of fatigue. The more rigid the system, the more willpower it demands every single day, and willpower is a limited resource. Eventually it runs out, no matter how motivated someone was on day one. There's also a real psychological cost to constant restriction. Some studies on spending behavior suggest that when people feel too boxed in, they don't actually get better with money. They just get better at hiding purchases from themselves, or they binge spend later to make up for weeks of feeling deprived. That's the same pattern seen in overly strict diets. Cut out too much, and the body or the brain eventually pushes back, hard. And this fatigue is exactly why so many budgeting apps get abandoned. It's not just clunky design, it's that the apps ask people to track every single dollar, every single category, forever, without a break. That's not a system, that's a second job. Most people don't quit because they lack discipline. They quit because the system asks for more discipline than any person can give every day for years. So the honest version of this argument isn't rules don't work. It's more specific than that. Rigid, detailed, no flexibility rules tend to fail because they treat willpower like it's endless. Anyone building a system that lasts has to take this seriously, not brush past it. The real question isn't whether to use rules at all. It's what kind of rules can survive contact with a normal, messy human life. Section 5. That argument is strong, but it's built on a hidden assumption. Look closely, and it only holds up for one specific kind of rule. The kind that asks someone to make a decision, in the moment, over and over, using pure willpower. No eating out isn't a rule. It's a decision, waiting to happen at every single meal for the rest of a person's life. Of course that breaks down. Nobody can win that fight 3 times a day, every day, forever. But that's not what a small rule system does. A real rule doesn't ask for a decision in the moment. It removes the decision entirely. Automate a transfer of a fixed amount into savings the day the paycheck lands, and there's nothing left to decide on a Tuesday night. No willpower needed, because the choice already happened, once, back when nobody was hungry or tired or standing in a grocery aisle at 9 p.m. The money just moves. The person doesn't even have to think about it. This is the exact opposite of what the fatigue research is describing. Fatigue happens when a person has to keep saying no to themselves. A good rule means the person never has to say no at all, because the option to spend that money was never sitting in front of them in the first place. There's no restriction to feel, because there's no moment where restriction shows up. So the two ideas aren't actually in conflict. Rigid, detailed budgets fail because they multiply decision points, one for every dollar, every day. A minimalist rule system does the opposite. It shrinks the number of decision points down to almost nothing. 5 or 6 rules, set once, running quietly in the background, instead of 100 small battles fought fresh every single day. That's the real difference between the woman in the grocery aisle and the man with the rotisserie chicken. He's not more disciplined, he just isn't making a decision at all. The decision already got made, long before he walked into that store. That's not more restriction. That's fewer moments where restriction could even happen. Section 6. Here's the part that never shows up on a spreadsheet. Money stress doesn't just sit quietly in a bank account. It follows people into bed at night. Research from the Sleep Foundation found that more than half of adults lose sleep over money worries, a bigger share than the number who lose sleep over family, health, or relationship problems combined. That's not a small side effect. That's the single biggest thing keeping people awake, ahead of almost everything else in their life. And once sleep breaks down, everything else starts to wobble too. Poor sleep isn't just feeling tired the next day. Studies looking at financial strain over time have found that bad sleep doesn't just happen alongside financial stress. It actually makes the mental toll of that stress worse, feeding a cycle where one problem deepens the other. Money stress causes bad sleep. Bad sleep makes the stress feel heavier. Around and around it goes. It doesn't stop at sleep either. Financial pressure tends to pull people inward. Some research on financial hardship has found that people under money strain often pull back from friends and family, show up less to social plans, and let relationships thin out. Not because they stopped caring, because carrying that pressure takes up so much space that connection becomes one more thing that gets dropped. This is what the woman in the grocery aisle is really carrying, even if she couldn't name it. It's not just about that one purchase. It's the sleep she's losing over accounts she can't quite track. It's the friend she cancelled on last week because she didn't want to spend money or admit why. A rule system doesn't just protect a bank balance. It protects sleep. It protects relationships. It gives back the mental space that money stress quietly steals, one worried night at a time. Section 7. Knowing the rules matter is one thing. Actually putting them in place fast, without giving up halfway, is another. So here are 3 ways to speed that up, without turning it into a second job. First, automate the transfer before you ever see the money. Set up one automatic move, from checking into savings, the same day the paycheck lands. This single step removes the biggest decision point of the whole month, the moment where a person has to choose to save instead of spend. Do this once, and it runs on its own, forever. People who set this up tend to save consistently, month after month, without ever consciously trying, because the choice never reaches them in the first place. That's one decision, made one time, instead of 26 separate decisions a year. Second, build one simple account structure and stop there. Not 10 accounts for 10 goals. Just a few, clearly labeled. One for bills, one for spending, one for savings. That's it. Every extra account is one more place to check, one more login, one more chance to lose track of where the money actually is. Cutting 10 accounts down to 3 doesn't just look tidier. It can cut the actual time spent checking balances by more than half each week, because there's simply less to look at. Third, add the rules one at a time, not all at once. Pick one rule. Run it for a full week until it feels boring and automatic. Then add the next one. Trying to install 5 new habits on day 1 is exactly the kind of overload that causes people to quit in week 2. Spacing them out, one rule every 7 days, means each one gets to settle in before the next one shows up. By the end of 5 or 6 weeks, the whole system is running. But it never felt like a shock to the system at any single point. None of these tactics ask for more willpower. They just remove the moments where willpower would even be needed. Automate the transfer. Simplify the accounts. Add one rule at a time. That's the whole plan. Section 8. So here's where to start, today, not someday. Open your banking app right now and set up one automatic transfer, even a small one, from checking into savings. Time to land the day your paycheck does. Next, look at every account you have open and pick the three that actually earn a job. One for bills, one for spending, one for savings. Close or ignore the rest. Then choose just one rule to run this week. Not five, one. Something small enough to feel almost boring, like always paying the credit card in full before the due date. Let it run for 7 days before you touch anything else. That's the whole checklist. 3 steps, maybe 20 minutes of setup total. No spreadsheet, no course, no elaborate plan. Just 3 small moves that quietly take the decision out of your hands before you ever have to make it. Now picture that grocery aisle again. Same fluorescent lights, same time of night, somewhere around 9. But it's a few months later now, and the woman pushing the cart isn't the same person she was. She reaches the checkout line with the same tired feet, the same long day behind her. Her phone is in her pocket, not in her hand. She doesn't open a single app, she doesn't need to. She already knows there's room, because the rule made sure of it weeks ago, back on payday, when a transfer moved on its own, and a line got drawn between what's spendable and what's not. She hands over her card without a flicker of hesitation, the same way the man with the rotisserie chicken did back at the start of this video. Not because she suddenly has more money, because she stopped needing to check. That's the whole shift. Not a bigger paycheck, not more effort. Just fewer moments where a decision even has the chance to show up. Set the rules once. Let them run quietly in the background, and eventually you become the person who just grabs what they need and walks out the door, without a second thought.